So one of the arguments I keep hearing is that Africa is poor because of the borders. The way this argument goes is these borders were created by Europeans, and they had no bearing or no understanding of the different groups of people that were there. And what ended up happening is some groups of people, some ethnic groups were divided, and other states were formed with a bunch of groups that pretty much had no relation to each other. And I want to be clear on something. Certainly these borders do not help, and the fact that it divided many communities is a tragedy. I personally hope to see one day where there's no borders in Africa, where Africa is united and can fight back against imperialism. But the thing is, the idea that the borders are why Africa is poor is complete nonsense. This kind of treats colonialism as an event and not a process, you know? If the Europeans had actually truly left Africa, I don't mean just the direct elements, but if, you know, for instance, Europe had, for instance, stopped assassinating socialist and progressive leaders in Africa, if it had actually returned the mineral wealth to Africa, if Europeans and as well as North Americans, the West, if they had actually really left Africa alone, Africa would not be poor. The reason Africa is poor is because of neocolonialism and the continued extraction of resources from Africa without actually giving any of that money to Africa. And I just want to give you a couple examples, counter examples, to show how why I really think this is the case. You know, I look at a country like Switzerland, which is in Europe. Switzerland's actually it's kind of like an arbitrary country. You have French speakers, Germans, and Italians all living in a single state. You can say that Switzerland's borders are arbitrary, and yet Switzerland's actually one of the wealthiest countries in the world. The reason for that is not because it has some nice borders and one group of people. No, there's many different groups of people under the same state. The reason why Switzerland is well off is because of its position in the imperial core. Sure, Switzerland never actually had directly colonies, but it's where the financial sector and a lot of banks are, and for that reason, it's quite well off. Now, as another counterexample, look at Lesotho. This is a country that is actually one of the most homogenous, that means everyone's part of the same ethnic group, and yet it's one of the most ethnically homogenous countries in the world, and yet it is one of the poorest. And the reason it's poor, it's not the fault of the people, it's because of its position in the global system of imperialism, where wealth is extracted without any of it going to the people who live there. So again, I don't think the borders aren't helpful, but I don't think the borders are why Africa's poor. They weren't helpful, but, you know, redrawing the borders won't actually suddenly generate stability and prosperity as long as neocolonialism exists, and Europeans, not just because of the borders, but because of the continued process of extraction, continue to actually colonize Africa to this day. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed that video. Let me know what you think in the comments below.